Hello and welcome along to Snetterton in Norfolk for rounds 9 and 10 of the Fuel Protect Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. Championship leader Peter Morris in Class 1, Tim Speed in Class 2. Let's go down to the paddock.
So Natalie, we caught up with you at the beginning part of the season. You've progressed quite a lot since. You've lost the rookie badge there, and you've getting some good qualifying times.
Yeah, today's been really good. 12th is, I think, my highest or lowest, whichever way to put it, qualifying. So first race with the race suspension, which has been a long time coming, but really happy with the car. Good placement on the grid, good down the straight, so I should get a good start. So yeah, it's all coming together.
Snetterton is a circuit, it's like two circuits in one. Some flat out speeds on the outer bit and the infield's quite technical.
Yeah, the technical bit is probably my weakest point. Sector 3 I'm a bit slow at, but we've had a look at the onboard, so nowhere to improve. But I'm fast down the straights, which is good, and hopefully I'll be able to defend from other people behind. So yeah.
Pete, here we are, Snetterton 300. Now, championship-wise, you're still quite ahead on the points, but I noticed at the last round, getting more and more competitive, it's still not in the bag yet.
Yeah, Craig's found the pace in the car at last, and he's keeping me honest today. I mean, he out-qualified me on both first and second fastest laps by 200ths of a second, so it's going to be quite a close race. There's still drop scores to be looked after at the championship, so I am leading, but if I have a couple of offs or whatever, they can all catch me up, so it's all to play for. We've got 3 rounds left, 6 races, so I hope to win the championship again this year, but you just don't know, luck and engines, but me and Craig go back ages, and we just want to beat each other.
Smart, Brands Hatch GP, wasn't your luckiest of rounds, but now you're back at Snetterton P3 in qualifying.
Yeah, I mean, we're pleased with that, and perhaps we could have maybe got the pole. I missed the gearing in the fastest lap, which was a little bit disappointing because that obviously lost us a few tenths. Whether that would have been enough to get pole, I'm not really sure, but quite happy with third.
Craig and Peter seem to be having a battle of their own there, so do you see a strategy of holding back and just see what happens?
Not really. I mean, at the end of the day, you can think of all these scenarios that are going to pan out, but you've just got to start and go for it, really. That's the only way to do it.
Jonathan, Class 2 P1 in qualifying for both races. That's not a bad start.
Yeah, really pleased with it. Not raced the 300 circuit before. Spent a bit of time testing yesterday and put a bit of time in last night looking at the video, just trying to figure out where I thought we might be able to go a little bit quicker. And I think that's paid off.
Well, you were second ahead of everyone else at the moment in your classic qualifying. Now, the Bentley Straight's one of the longest straights there is in the UK circuits, and quite often it's about the braking as you go into that next corner.
Yeah, again, as I said before, it's about trying to push the limits, I think, and I'm, I suppose, a little bit notorious at late braking, and sometimes it doesn't always pay off. So we've decided to rein it back a little bit for this meeting, and just take the principle of slower in, faster out. I don't think it's worth compromising that corner. You've not really got anywhere to go if you do get it wrong. So we'll be carrying as much speed as we can, but being sensible on the braking.
Jonathan lines up in pole position for Class 2 ahead of Steve Cheetham and Richard Higgins. Meanwhile, at the front of the grid, Craig Wilkins from Peter Morris, then Mark McAleer and Kevin Harrison. Chris Dyer, 5th in Class 1, Mike Johnson next from Paul Winter. And then we do see Jonathan Evans, Steve Cheetham, Richard Higgins, Tim Speed, Natalie McGloin. Lights are on. Oh, Pete Morris anticipates the start, but in all fairness, gets it all checked up and is away. It's a cracking start. Apart from Pete Morris, he won't thank me for that when I see him next time, but it's Craig Wilkins that leads down into Riches for the first time. Wilkins, Jonathan Evans, off onto the grass. It was very crowded at the start. Some irony there because he was saying about being slower in, faster out, but I think that was just due to the sheer volume of cars that were going down into Riches. And cold tyres as well probably had a part to play, but from our point of view, we're maybe going to see a charge through the field from Jonathan. There is Jake McAleer in 48, dicing hard, but it's Wilkins leading down into Agostini for the first time. Pete Morris second, Mark McAleer is third, Paul Winter fourth, then it's Chris Dyer followed by Kevin Harrison. Harrison coming down the inside back of shot into Agostini, out of Agostini up into Hamilton. Very good start indeed. Now, Jonathan Evans being out of it means that Steve Cheetham leads Class 2 in the black and yellow Boxster. We're looking there at Andy Toon in 4, chasing Richard Higgins in the yellow 968. Tim Speed in the silver 968. Tim, the championship leader for Class 2. And he's second at the moment behind Steve Cheetham, who just went through shots. We again pick up on Andy Toon. Trying to hunt down, but it's Craig Wilkins from Peter Morris. Mark McAleer third, then Paul Winter, Kevin Harrison, Chris Dyer. Then it's Mike Johnson. These are the leading Class 2 cars. So Steve Cheetham took his first podium and indeed win at Brands Hatch, and now finds himself in the lead of Class 2 again, but he's got Tim Speed right behind him. Well, this is the view from Tim Speed, chasing the class leader towards the end of lap number 1. Chris Dyer and Kevin Harrison engaged in battle, Harrison having snuck through on the way into Agostini. Well, this is the first visit to Snetterton for a couple of seasons. Just wait for a moment for those cars to go past our pit wall camera, and they make an impressive sight and sound there. And Chris Dyer's trying to come back at the inside of Kevin Harrison as they go into Riches. Nothing doing though. Harrison not defensive at all, and Dyer's going to have a look up the inside. Hasn't quite got the run. Now goes to the outside, the left-hand side of the circuit, to get as much of a sweep as he can on the way out of the Montreal hairpin, and then the run down into the left-hander at Palmer. You can see he's over on the right-hand side. Switch over now. Grab the apex at Palmer. Runs the curb. Losing out a little bit on Dyer, but it's still Wilkins out front from Peter Morris, Mark McAleer. Pretty much how they qualified in actual fact, the top 3. Kevin Harrison started 4th, so he goes through next, followed by Chris Dyer. It's Paul Winter that made some good progress on the opening lap then, from 7th place up into 4th. Winter second in the championship. There is Mike Johnson in 47, and here's our sadly lone Class 3 runner, John Gilmore, back with us. The only meeting he's missed so far is Silverstone. I'm sure he'd like to see James Cameron out again as well. James, who took race wins at the first 3 events of the year in Class 3, which is the class which is really aimed at attracting new drivers into the championship. Back though to Paul Winter from Kevin Harrison. Now, as I said, the last time we were here was on the 200 circuit, which is the effectively the old circuit without the infield section, and back then wins for Craig Wilkins and Mark McAleer. Mark has in actual fact had 3 wins here in the championship over the years, 2006, 2007, 2013 as well. Craig Wilkins winning in October 2013 as well. Peter Morris has had 2 wins here too, separated by 6 years, 2004 and 2010, so they're all looking to extend their tally. Now, although this is the first time we've raced on the 300 circuit, the 200 circuit comprises a great deal of what they're racing on today, and there's just the infield that they've got to learn, as Jonathan Evans, who's recovering, is challenging David Botterill. Botterill second in the Class 2 standings to Tim Speed. Had a nightmare at Brands Hatch, and at the moment he's got Jonathan Evans, who's 3rd in the standings, all over the back of him, and the Fuel Protect Boxster is having a good go here. He's going to have a look at the inside into the hairpin. Botterill dives across. Very defensive from David Botterill. Runs a little bit wide as a result of that on the hairpin. Comes out to the outside line. He'll go back over to the right-hand side for the run down into Palmer, and he maintains position. So I think that's for 5th place in class at the moment. Botterill is there at the minute, hanging on to it. As we go back to Richard Higgins up ahead of Andy Toon. Andy Toon 4th in the standings. Paul Seagrave 5th from Jake McAleer in the Class 2 points coming to this meeting, as Mark McAleer tries to close in on Peter Morris. Morris setting some good laps. Wilkins out front is being consistent as well. And this is the view as they come down the Bentley straight into Brundle. Left-hander, then right-hander round into Nelson. Now look at Mark McAleer, very much on the case now, and McAleer closing in on Pete Morris. So McAleer putting in some very quick laps and starting to put the pressure on the championship leader. Into Coram they go. McAleer slightly tighter there into the corner. Morrison wide the line, runs the danger of maybe leaving the door open, and McAleer, if he sees half a chance, will go for it. He's not had the best of starts to his season, Mark McAleer, but he's still out here. The spirit of the guy means that he still comes back, enjoys his Porsche racing, and he's an absolute master of it in this championship. Back we go though to Class 2, David Botterill and Jonathan Evans. Evans recovering from that first lap spin. And a good recovery, and it's two down the inside into Cora. Great move by Jonathan Evans. The Fuel Protect Boxster goes through, passes David Botterill and takes 5th place. So a good recovery. Steve Cheetham and Tim Speed go through. This is the Class 2 leaders. Cheetham looking for his 2nd win in the Fuel Protect Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. Craig Wilkins still out front. Peter Morris is coming under pressure from Mark McAleer, and McAleer goes through. That was at Agostini. Here's the view from Morris. Well, these two we know are very evenly matched. If you cast your minds back to Brands Hatch, the opening round of the season on the 2nd of May on the Indy circuit, it was a win apiece for Mark McAleer and Peter Morris. Tremendous way to open the season. Morris has had a great season since then. Mark McAleer's been dogged by all sorts of problems, but he's got himself up into 2nd place. Welcome back to Snetterton, and we're looking at Paul Seagrave, car number 45, chasing Natalie McGloin at the moment. Paul running 9th in class, it's Class 2. And here's the view from Natalie coming down the Senna straight, uphill initially, and then just over a very slight brow, downhill in towards Riches, the first corner. So Natalie taking Riches, Paul Seagrave chasing, those two fairly close proximity on the track. Battling over 16th position at the moment. Here we go in car with Natalie again. Great line coming into Montreal hairpin. Just takes a little bit of curb, runs out wide, so good stuff from Natalie. There is the 2nd place man. We saw Mark McAleer passing Peter Morris earlier on in the race to take 2nd place. And he's chasing Craig Wilkins, the race leader. This is the battle for position in Class 2. And this is for 4th place. We've got Richard Higgins in the yellow 968 and being chased by Jonathan Evans. So I'm not sure what it was with Jonathan on lap number 1. Maybe some contact. We've speculated about cold tyres as well. As Higgins runs wide, Jonathan Evans goes through up into 4th place. So this is a very good recovery. Whatever happened on lap number 1, terrific recovery from Jonathan Evans. Makes up another place, up to 4th in class. So here is Evans. You just saw Andy Toon going through, 3rd position in class, up ahead of these guys. Richard Higgins now in 5th, and Jonathan will start to try and pull away. Steve Cheetham, their leads class, goes through. Tim Speed turning in now, he's in 2nd. Andy Toon in 3rd. Higgins getting a little bit closer as they come towards the end of the straight, which was back of shot. So Andy Toon, who's been on the podium several times this year, and looks like he could well add another one as we go into the Class 1s. And it's Paul Winter, remember 2nd in the championship. Kevin Harrison is chasing him. Harrison 4th in the standings at the moment, another driver who's been on the podium several times this year and working hard. We've got Mike Johnson in behind as well, so a 3-way battle between these drivers coming down into Agostini. Very often a passing point here, but I've got to say it was good defensive racing from Paul Winter. Came across, grabbed the line in. There wasn't really any opportunity for Kevin Harrison to go through. What it does do, of course, is give Harrison a little bit more of a chance to gain more momentum, take a wider sweep into the corner, and maybe build momentum for a pass on another bend as we go back. This is Hugo Holmes in 24. Hugo running 8th position in Class 2, ahead of Paul Seagrave, who, remember, we saw dicing with Natalie McGloin, who's joined us here for part 2. But back to the overall lead. Craig Wilkins looking for another win.
1 and 2.
Craig was a winner at Silverstone, took a win in race 2 at Brands Hatch on the GP circuit, but at the moment he's being kept very honest indeed by Mark McAleer, who closes right up as they go through Murray's. Now onto the centre straight, into the closing stage of this one. McAleer very definitely putting the pressure on. It was a great move to go past Pete Morris, who seems to have dropped away. So John Gilmore being passed by Jake McAleer in 44. Jake sits in the standings in terms of the Class 2 Championship and goes through past Gilmore. And then in behind him we've got Hugo Holmes, you saw as well. But on to the last lap, Craig Wilkins is the race leader, but we're picking up on Paul Winter in 28. There is Kevin Harrison chasing him down. Right behind them it's Mike Johnson. Here's the battle for the lead coming down to Agostini. Wilkins still there. He's got a reasonable lead at the moment over Mark McAleer. Look at McAleer's line, much wider into Agostini, and this could afford him a run maybe up into Hamilton, which is the next corner, the left-hander. McAleer's trying everything he can to close in. Leading Class 2 by a good margin is Steve Cheetham, looking for his second win in the championship. The Lodge Sports Racing, Boxster running well. Tim Speed in the 968 still running in second place. And this is going to be good for Tim's championship. Back to the guys dicing over fourth with Paul Winter. But Mark McAleer still chasing now onto the back straight here, the Bentley straight, and Craig Wilkins looking very good indeed to try and pick up his third win of the season. So Wilkins the leader, Mark McAleer second place at the moment for Mark. Now we haven't seen him on the podium amazingly since Brands Hatch, but he's going to be so pleased to get that fall back. The car's running well, and McAleer with his lights on, closing down on Wilkins, but Craig Wilkins has driven a good race so far. Remember, had the advantage of pole position, had a very good start. These two have got away. I tell you what, Pete Morris is on a charge again now. Pete Morris seems to be closing in on them on this last lap, but Wilkins goes into Murray's for the last time. McAleer's right with him, loses a little bit of ground going into Murray's. It's going to be Craig Wilkins who takes the checkered flag to win round 9 of the Fuel Protect Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. There is the checker and there is the winner. Craig Wilkins takes it, Mark McAleer, Peter Morris takes third and got the fastest lap on the final lap of the race. Pete Morris, extra point for that, so Morris clearly knew what he was doing. Class 2, Steve Cheetham looking for his second win, goes through the bomb hole out towards Coram. He is clear of Tim Speed in second place. Now will we see Tim go through shot? We may well do, as Steve Cheetham looks so smooth through Coram. There's Tim Speed running in second place, Andy Toon's third, Jonathan Evans, as we saw, got up into fourth, wasn't able to get any further so far, as Steve Cheetham comes across the line, and it's a second win for him in the championship. There's the checker, Cheetham delighted, rightly so with that. Tim Speed's going to take second place, championship leader. Andy Toon is third. There's Jonathan Evans, terrific drive by Jonathan Evans after a spin on the first corner, comes through for fourth position, and the cars come into Parc Ferme here. Craig Wilkins, there is Mark McAleer in 14, and Peter Morris fastest lap in third place. Wilkins the winner, Mark McAleer second from Peter Morris, he got the fastest lap as mentioned. Paul Winter next from Kevin Harrison, Mike Johnson in sixth from Chris Dyer. Steve Cheetham wins Class 2 ahead of Tim Speed. Andy Toon completes the Class 2 podium. Then it was Jonathan Evans from Richard Higgins, David Botterill next up from Jake McAleer and Hugo Holmes, Paul Seagrave ahead of Natalie McGloin, and John Gilmore taking the honours in Class 3.
Craig, fantastic win, and Mark was keeping you honest there.
Yeah, I think Pete would have had a nibble early on, and Mark got past Pete and he was there or thereabouts. Certainly there's still areas that some of the other cars have got the legs on me. I'm having to defend a little bit. We're getting there. We're getting there with the car setup at last.
Leading from lights to flag though, that can't be bad for points.
It's not bad for points. I think the reality is if Pete keeps his nose clean for the rest of the season, he's going to be very, very difficult to catch. I think he's pretty much just got to start and finish all the races, and he's probably on for a sure thing. But no harm in trying, is there?
Mark, congratulations. That's better, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, enjoyed that. It was very close at the end, and we were pushing hard. Craig was obviously driving a good race as well, so yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. We know we've always had the pace with the car. It's just we've had such a bad luck with it this season, really, with stupid things going wrong, and just one of the pace has always been there in the car. It's just been trying to get it out of it, really. But yeah, pleased with that.
Pete seemed to drop away after a while there, so the main battle is between you and Craig.
Yeah. I mean, I overtook Pete into the hairpin, and seemed to pull away. Really, I don't know if he had an issue or if he just slowed down to save his tyres, or his engine was maybe getting a bit warm. I don't really know, but yes, he seemed to drop off. And Craig and I were doing very similar pace. He was quicker in certain parts, and I was quicker than him. It was obviously just a case of trying to maximise where you were quicker, really.
Pete, another great podium. Enthusiastic start there, but I think you played safe towards the end.
Yeah, I jumped the start and then stopped, and that's a total blank for me. That was. I don't normally do it, but then chasing Craig down, thinking, well, I need the points. I set off a second, and McAleer was coming on me strong, and so I thought. And the temperature gauge went up to 120 in his heat today, so I put the heat on, which I've still got the heater connected in the car, cooking myself. Stopped. Thought I'll set off a third really. So and I thought, well, I'll try fastest lap at the end, and I managed to get it. So there's an extra point there for me. So I'm still leading the championship.
Steve, fantastic. Another first place. Just tell us about that.
Yeah, he just went my way really. First corner, obviously Jonathan ran wide, had a bit of a twitch on, and I seen what happened and just really got my head down then and tried to pull a gap from Tim. So yeah, it just went in my favour. I think if Jonathan hadn't gone off, then it would have been a big battle. But in the end, it was reasonably straightforward. Luckily.
I was going to say, after those early laps, it looked from the spectator point of view fairly plain sailing.
Yeah, about a few laps in, he looked like he was catching me, and I just put my foot down and put a couple of quick laps in, and then the gap increased, and that was it really. It was just a matter of bringing it home safely. Yeah.
Tim, second place, all good for championship points. The main battle seemed to be in the early part of that race.
Yeah, trying to keep with the Boxsters. Jonathan made a mistake or got tapped, I don't know, I couldn't see. All I had was him doing a half spin in front of me, then going wide while I was going around the outside of Richard. Got behind Steve, was pushing hard, trying to keep on his tail, trying to force him into either mistake or trying to overheat tyres. But gradually, lap by lap, he was pulling a tenth, 2 tenths away. And then I was just starting to watch some areas and starting to see Richard was pulling back, which was nice. Then Andy came up behind him and took him, and I was watching Andy close me down, and I think concentrating on Andy and watching Steve disappear and into the distance, I was just pushing as hard as I could.
So Andrew, another podium, well done. We seem to be getting there this year, don't we, with the points?
We do. It's a bit more of a struggle this year than what we anticipated, but yeah, didn't do too well at qualifying. We came in at 8th, so I knew I got my work cut out, but yeah, we were pleased with that result. Drove the socks off and came in 3rd place. Really happy.
So is this car more suited to the corners rather than these flat out straights we have here?
It is, yeah, you're correct with that. It's not quite got the legs on it for the straights, but around the corners it's more than competitive. Yeah, it's under braking and around the corners. These 968s are really good. Really good.
So it's more about the racecraft, braking, racing lines, etc., rather than just flat out power.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, here at Snetterton there's 2 very long straights. So it's we've got the work cut out to try and race competitively here. The next 2 rounds at Alton Park and Croft should balance it out a little bit more as well.
Paul, some great racing so far for you at Snetterton this weekend.
Yes, really enjoyed race 1. Yeah, it was quite eventful. I had Kevin Harrison breathing down my neck. He did manage to touch me a couple of times and do a bit of damage, but that's racing, I suppose. But managed to fend him off, good part of the race and hold my position and finished 4th, so happy with that. And considering that we didn't test yesterday, where I think most others did, makes a big difference. So it was a bit of catch up in your qualifying and first race. So it was, it was a good finish. I think 4th. Yep, happy with that.
Did that give you added confidence going to race 2?
No, because I had a very poor qualifying, and I started on 7th position for race 1, got up to 4th, but in race 2 I started 9th. So I've got some work to do, and if I can get up to 4th again, I'll be more than happy. But I think it's going to be tricky. I think the lads that were behind me that I got past in the first race are going to be certainly aware and keeping an eye on me, and I don't think it's going to be easy.
So as well as great racing, Porsche Club Championship do many competitions, and winner of the Arch and Dialogue competition is Richard Scotney. Richard, just tell us about the competition and how you got to be here.
Well, to be fair, I was entered by my friend Vicky Fairweather. She said she'd entered me into Porsche Cup race days, never thought no more about it. And then last week we got a call from Arch and Dialogue saying that we'd won the prize to come today, which to me, being a motor racing fan, it's a beautiful day. The hospitality is wonderful, but we've also won a pair of cufflinks from BRM, which are absolutely superbly made. We've won an umbrella, a torch. I can't wish for anything better. It's been a wonderful day. The hospitality, the food. I was in motor racing in the 60s and the 70s. You were lucky if you got a burger for a day. The food here was excellent, absolutely beautiful. The people that looked after us well. We've met the drivers, we've looked at the cars. I just can't thank anybody enough.
Now, when you said motor racing background, it's not just necessarily any motor racing. Just tell us a little bit about your history.
Well, I was lucky. I started working for a guy called Colin Crabb, who we raced historic racing cars, Ferraris and Maseratis and Mercedes 125s. Colin then got a McLaren Formula One car in 1968. That got destroyed. We were left with the engine and the gearbox, a DFV, and then Max Mosley rang us up and said, we know you've got a DFV, do you want to sell it? No. Well, if we provide you with a chassis, do you want to run it? The deal is that you run Ronnie Peterson. Well, Colin didn't know who Ronnie Peterson was. I was young, and Formula 3 was the pinnacle of racing in those days, like the Formula 4 are here today. And he said, do we need Ronnie Peterson? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And we built his Formula 1 car, ran him for the first year. We didn't make any money. And we went to Monaco with a transit and a trailer, and all we had to eat was smoked cough sweets because we were so busy still building the car. But yeah, I've had a wonderful time in motor racing, and got to thank Colin for allowing me the opportunity to work on such fantastic cars. But coming back here, it's a different world. But it's still motor racing. It's wonderful.
Pole position in round 10 goes to Craig Wilkins once again. Pete Morris alongside Mark McAleer and Kevin Harrison on row 2, followed by Chris Dyer and Mike Johnson. Jonathan Evans pole for Class 2. Steve Cheetham second from Tim Speed. Then Richard Higgins, Hugo Holmes fifth in class. Andy Toon, who was on the podium in race number 1, qualifies in 6th place. Class 3, of course, represented once again by John Gilmore. Lights are on, and away we go. Looks like a great start from the front of the grid. They're 4 wide in Class 2 with Natalie McGloin as well. Andy Toon gets a little bit of a knock. I don't know who that was from, but going through is Hugo Holmes in 24. Very crowded indeed. Now we can see Jonathan Evans has been beaten off the line by Tim Speed, who leads Class 2. Steve Cheetham in black and yellow is second in class. Cheetham's going to have a look at the inside line here to take the class lead, going down into the hairpin. And he's through. There he goes. Tim Speed down to second, but Speed's going to hold on to that outside line, which converts to the inside at Palmer. In car with Tim Speed. Grabs the line, he read that so well. Great racing from Tim Speed and Steve Cheetham, and also from Peter Morris, who leads this one. Craig Wilkins over the back of him, comes out wide. Now Wilkins won't pass round the outside. I've only seen it done, I think, once in car racing. And this is all about momentum up into Hamilton, but it's Peter Morris that made a great start. I'm pleased that he didn't get penalised for that starting race number 1. Very often you see a driver making a start like that, anticipating the lights. And Peter did everything right because he just checked up. He was starting out of position. And I've seen clerks of the course add drive-throughs or time penalties for that sort of thing. But the fact is that Peter did check up, he did stop, and then started again. It might have been maybe a small advantage in Peter's mind. Oh, and problems! That's Richard Higgins out of the race. Luckily, I think, at the back of the paddock. And massive smoke. That's Mike Johnson who's out. Mike Johnson's out of the race as well. We're not even halfway through the first lap. Johnson is out. Richard Higgins is out as we look at Tim Speed leading Class 2. Third place is Jonathan Evans, the green and white car. The white machine in front of Jonathan is Natalie McGloin, running in Class 1. So they go into Coram. Down behind them, I think, is Hugo Holmes and Andy Toon. This the view from Steve Cheetham, and challenging for the lead of Class 2. Gets the wheels in line, coming up the centre straight, uses the power from the Boxster. Let's see whether he can go through. They're going to be side by side, coming through. Shot, Steve Cheetham. Well, we switched shot, and I think Steve Cheetham was looking as if he had enough of a run. Oh, Craig Wilkins goes wide. Craig is trying hard, isn't he? In second position to catch his arch rival. Peter Morris out front. We've still got in third place Mark McAleer. Mark had some good pace in race number 1. This is the view from Peter Morris coming down into Palmer. And he's working hard. Look at how Peter is working the wheel, driving hard, wants to stay ahead of Craig Wilkins. Morris, Wilkins, McAleer, Kevin Harrison in 4th. A little bit of a gap back then. So the top 4 getting clear at the moment, going into Agostini. This round 10 of the championship. 2 events remaining. We've got Alton Park on Saturday the 12th of September, and then the championship finale moves to Croft. And this is the view from Kevin Harrison. So 4 more races after this one in this year's championship. The complexities of the drop scores we'll have to start taking into account when we get into those 2 rounds. It's close in Class 1, it's very close in Class 2 points wise as well. There's Kevin Harrison, comes from Maidstone in Kent. They're running in 4th position, trying to close in on Mark McAleer here as they go under the bridge. Waved yellows for the stricken car of Mike Johnson, which I think we'll see, yeah, there it is, letting off some steam. And then the green flags greet the drivers at the end of that zone, as it were, and they can get into battling once again. There's Mark McAleer. He'll be looking forward to the Croft home round. Now, lone Class 3 car, John Gilmore, who's finished every race he started so far this year. Natalie McGloin coming under pressure from Jonathan Evans. Evans 3rd in Class 2. This isn't a great move. I was going to say this isn't a great move. It is a great move, but what it wasn't was a change in position within class, because Jonathan running in Class 2, an outside line at Gorham, you don't see that very often. So terrific driving by Jonathan Evans, remains 3rd in class, but now he's got a clear run at the top 2 in class. Then we've got a Strasser trio going through. David Botterill is at the back of the trio, and ahead of him we've got Hugo Holmes and Andy Toon, who was on the podium, of course, in race number 1. And here comes Natalie. Natalie goes through shot. Then it's the Strasser trio. David Botterill at the rear of it. Hugo Holmes ahead of him. David's going to have a look down the inside line. This is the view from Hugo Holmes, who's the car under pressure. Not overly defensive, so I think he's relatively confident about hanging on to position. Goes over to the right-hand side of the track, ready for the run down to Palmer, but we go back to the race leader, Peter Morris. Craig Wilkins in 2nd. A little bit of a gap developing now to 3rd place, Mark McAleer. Mark's dropping away. So McAleer still at the moment in 3rd. Here is our Strasser trio of Class 2 cars. Hugo Holmes still ahead of David Botterill. And Craig Wilkins still chasing Peter Morris. You can see the yellow flags have been brought in now, so if Craig could get close enough, that might be an opportunity to part. Now Chris Dyer in the background, I think, has gone past Mark McAleer. Now Macaleer clearly has dropped away from the leader, so has Mark McAleer got another problem with the car? Maybe his resurgence in the racing seems perhaps sadly to have been temporary. We'll come back to that. Here's the view from Paul Winter, and that's Mark McAleer that he's chasing. So Winter is closing up. McAleer has surely got a problem. Winter goes through. Keep your eyes on the mirror. Just look at him focusing. Quick look in the mirror to see where McAleer was. Very good driver awareness from Paul Winter, who's moved up a place, and now Paul Winter has caught Chris Dyer. So this is for 4th position in class. Winter on the inside, qualified 7th in class, 9th on the grid. This has been a super drive from the Dorset Sports Cars driver, and this is why he's 2nd in the championship. He's been very consistent. Here's the view from Steve Cheetham. Leads Class 2 once again, goes out of shot. There's Tim Speed 2nd. 3rd place in the Fuel Protect Boxster is Jonathan Evans. Evans trying to close in on Tim Speed. So the top 3 then in Class 2 go through. And Jonathan Evans has got a good lead at the moment over the 4th place car. So it looks, barring any mechanical problems, that the 3 drivers that will form the Class 2 podium here are fixed. But Tim Speed wants to try and change the order. Trying to hunt down on Steve Cheetham as Chris Dyer now continues to chase Paul Winter. Welcome back to Snetterton. We're looking at Jake McAleer, who's coming into retirement. He was racing there side by side with Paul Seagrave, but Jake will join his dad, sadly, in retirement in this one. So not a great weekend for the McAleer family, or certainly not a good ending. We did see Mark on the podium in race number 1 with excellent second place. This is Paul Seagrave, 7th place at the moment in Class 2. And his sparring partner obviously off into the pit, so maybe Paul's going to have a lonely remainder of the race. Meanwhile, far from lonely is race leader Peter Morris and championship leader Peter Morris from Craig Wilkins in second place. These two pretty close along Bentley Straight. Peter running well, might start to get into some back marker traffic at some point, and I'm guessing that's going to be John Gilmore when or if they do. John running in Class 3. A lot of retirements in this race so far. Mike Johnson, Richard Higgins, Mark and Jake McAleer sadly out of it as well. But Peter Morris leads Craig Wilkins down into Coreham. Craig trying everything he can to try and close in. Wilkins has just set the fastest lap here. Morris had the fastest lap in race 1. And Craig Wilkins starting to mount a challenge. 2 minutes 6.111 is the lap time. And you can see getting closer and closer. In fact, Wilkins has got the fastest race lap of the weekend, so he's eclipsed the time set by Peter Morris in race number 1. And Wilkins looking racy here, very wide into Riches. Is he going to carry that speed down into Montreal? We'll see how defensive the race leader gets. Reasonably defensive is the answer to that, keeping it fairly tight going in. That will obviously compromise Peter's speed, and Craig Wilkins effectively having his road blocked by that defensive nature, but he holds the cards. Back with the Class 2 leader, Steve Cheetham. Tim Speed again in second position, another podium by the look of it in the offing. Jonathan Evans trying to chase hard. Steve Cheetham has got the fastest lap of the race in this one. Jonathan Evans had fastest lap in Class 2 in race number 1. And those three clear at the moment of the Strasser trio of David Botterill, Andy Toon and Hugo Holmes, who are having a super race. So there is Hugo Holmes in 24, comes along the centre straight and was involved in that trio, but now seems to have found he's still running 6th in class. Is Hugo behind Andy Toon. David Botterill is now up to 4th place. So David's going to pick up some useful championship points, and I think Class 2 very much looks like it's going to go all the way to the wire at Croft as we pick up Steve Cheetham. Steve closing in now on John Gilmore, the Class 3 runner. But meanwhile, Peter Morris and Craig Wilkins still very much at it. Wilkins using every inch of the circuit as he tries to close in on Peter Morris at the moment. Here's the view from Peter again. Working hard, turns into Murray's. Wilkins all over his rear end. Wilkins goes a little bit wider, comes offline, thinks now, has he got enough momentum here to make a move? In fact, loses a bit of ground to Morris coming out of Murray's. Across the line they go, and onto the last lap here, 2.9 miles around the Snetterton circuit. Morris leads, done all the hard work so far, starting from the outside of the front row. Here's Kevin Harrison, he's 3rd. So Harrison on for another podium here at Snetterton, but back to the lead for the Class 2s as well. Remember, we've got 3 classes racing, and it's Steve Cheetham. It was a first win for him at Brands. It looks like it could be a first double here for him. Absolutely superb. A noted Porsche driver, used to race in the Lodge Sports Porsche Championship, the BRSCC Porsches, but has moved over into the Porsche Club Championship as Craig Wilkins takes a wide line into Agostini, and he's going to try and look up the inside of Pete Morris on the way to Hamilton. He's still right behind him. Hasn't quite got that run, so Morris in the Strasser number 1. Oh, it's part bang! Wilkins goes into the side of him and spins round. Morris has a spin as well. And first and second are out of the race. That means that Kevin Harrison could come through into the lead. As we look at Steve Cheetham, who leads Class 2, Tim Speed closing in. Look how desperate, well not desperate, how determined Steve Cheetham is, going wide. Peter Morris has rejoined in the race lead. Such was the lead that Morris and Wilkins had. Craig Wilkins is stranded, and Peter Morris, you have to say, probably a little bit of karma there that Peter Morris was able to restart. Kevin Harrison will go into second. Paul Winter has come up into third. Paul Winter will take that for sure. Remember, he was way back on the grid. But here comes Peter Morris. Now, whether the car is damaged or not, we'll have a look back. He's certainly some panel damage on the car, but whether it's mechanically damaged, Peter's going to be thanking his stars that was on the last lap and that it's still running. So Morris going through Coram, and Craig Wilkins wanted the win. He wanted the win. He looked up the inside going into Hamilton, but it just wasn't on. And Pete Morris is going to take it. Kevin Harrison is in the background in second. Morris will be so pleased he built up that lead. There's the checker. Peter Morris takes it. A bruising encounter. Second position goes to Kevin Harrison. And it's going to be Paul Winter in third. Splendid drive from Winter. From 7th in class, 9th on the grid, Paul Winter. Fantastic racing. And it's not over yet because we've got Class 2 to be decided. And Steve Cheetham is going to take a double. Steve Cheetham through the grid lines along centre straight. Here's the checkered flag. Cheetham wins. Tim Speed is second. Jonathan Evans is a little bit further back than he was earlier on in the race, but he is there for third. David Bottrell, fourth position in Class 2. Celebrations on the podium here at Snetterton. Round 10 of the championship finished like this. Peter Morris, the winner from Kevin Harrison and Paul Winter. Chris Dyer in fourth. Then Steve Cheetham winning Class 2 from Tim Speed. Jonathan Evans was third. David Bottrell next from Andy Toon. Hugo Holmes comes home next, 6th in class and 10th on the road. Then Natalie McGloin, Paul Seagrave and John Gilmore. Fastest laps, Craig Wilkins, Steve Cheetham and John Gilmore.
Pete, fantastic close race there with Craig, and then got a bit scary towards the end.
Yeah, he got a bit of exuberance at the end. He took a move on me. He went one way, I went the other.
Fantastic race though.
Yeah, I mean, it's all down to the last lap, and I think he must have got a little bit late on the brake somewhere. He knew where I was blocking and where he could get past me. So, but yeah, I got first. I wanted first, so I'm well happy.
Well, that worked out well. Just tell us about that race.
Chuffed to bits really. My aim was to try and slot in behind Mark McAleer because I was on the outside in fourth place. So I thought the best I can do is get behind Mark, hang on in there, then hopefully we can mix it later on. So that worked out quite well. And then Mark had a problem, so I inherited third. And I thought just keep banging away, because I knew that Pete and Craig are great rivals. I thought there's going to be a coming together. And there was, so I'll take second. Great, loved it.
Well, fantastic end to the weekend.
Absolutely, yeah, very pleased. Just down to the misfortune of a few others, but still, that's motor racing. You've got to be in it to win it. So yeah, amazing having third. That's really helped the points. And considering where I started, 9th on the grid with a poor qualifying, couldn't ask for better really. So surprised, when I came in the pits because it was a bit unsure on who was where at the end, and it's yeah, amazing. Yeah, really happy boy.
Steve, congratulations. 2 races, 2 wins. Can't get better than that.
No, it's just been a perfect weekend really. I didn't expect to be coming here and coming away with 2 wins. So yeah.
It's amazing how the season's suddenly changing around for you at the moment.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of bad luck early on. We smashed it up in testing for the first round, so that put us out the first round, and then from there on we just went backwards for a couple of races. But we knew we had the pace, but we just didn't have the luck for some reason. So, luckily it's our luck's turned now, hopefully.
Tim, another great result. 2 seconds, not a bad weekend.
Nah, brilliant fun. Yeah, it was a good race as well. Very hard, quicker than the first race. Tyres came back, old tyres, and they actually did the heat cycle in the first race. And it seems to have worked because halfway through the race they came back to me. They went off a little bit, but then they came back. It was amazing.
Jonathan, congratulations, back on the podium. Good race.
Yeah, it was a great race. Bit lonely out there once you get going. Quite a big track, and we managed to spread ourselves out a bit. But it was a good race. Tough race towards the end. Actually, I couldn't quite catch the guys at the front, so just held my ground and accepted third really.
still good for championship points and a good finish for the Fuel Protect car.
Yeah, it is. We've had probably our worst meeting at Donington, which I imagine is probably going to end up being the drop point. So it's pretty important now we have fairly consistent results if we're going to get anywhere in the championship. And great to be in the Fuel Protect car again this year. Obviously, Fuel Protect's the title sponsor of the championship, and having some good success off the back of it.
John, another great weekend's racing. How did you find the track?
Track's great. I've actually raced here before, although I think this was the first time for the Porsche Club on the 300 circuit. So, I think they've done a good job with the additions they've made to the circuit.
Peter Morris, the championship leader from Paul Winter and Kevin Harrison. Craig Wilkins next, Chris Dyer, Mark McAleer, Mike Johnson 7th, then Gary Duckman, Natalie McGloin and Kareem Moody. In Class 2, Tim Speed still leads from Jonathan Evans and David Botterill. Andy Toon next from Paul Seagrave, Steve Cheetham, Jake McAleer, Richard Higgins and Hugo Holmes, with John Gilmore leading Class 3. Sadly, all we've got time for from Snetterton Circuit. Join us for our penultimate event of the year, which takes place at Alton Park. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.